Hey guys, so lots of drama recently with the whole solo queue stuff, and it was kind of leaked, kind of sort of leaked that a lot of the NA pros are playing on NATR, which is the North American tournament realm, and not playing solo queue anymore. And that kind of got out. People were talking about it, discussing it a lot, like being like, "Oh wow, the pros hate solo queue this much. They're all leaving solo queue." And I kind of want to bring some clarification and just kind of condense information and like condense like the reasons behind it, and just let people know that what exactly is the reason why a lot of pros, including myself, are playing less solo queue and playing more solo queue on the NATR. So. This isn't the first time that players were complaining about the solo queue. Remember last year, um, we used to be playing on 30 ping, which we complain about still, and then it was up to about 80 ping, and we were like, "What the heck? We don't want to play on 80 ping." And then the kind of right like slowly lowered it to 60. But honestly, I really think it's still higher than 60. But I mean, the numbers to 60, so I'm just gonna believe it's 60. But anyways, that yeah, people were like really frustrated about that. We were thinking about making it in-house. We asked, right? They were like, okay, this is about a year ago. And I think it's High myself and Mark from Liquid. When I saw Liquid, we were trying to set this thing up, and we really couldn't get enough people to be interested in it because we got them to say yes, but we couldn't get them to play. Basically, they weren't angry enough to do something about it. So especially once Riot lowered the ping a little bit to 60, people stopped complaining, and I was like, not a big deal. Just screw it. Just go along with it. Can't do much about it. No good alternative. And some of the big reasons why a lot of those players didn't want to do so is because a um, if no one else is doing it, why do I want to do it? It's one of those once until you get it started, people aren't gonna want to do it. And the second reason, the big reason why a lot of the big name players didn't want to do so was because you couldn't stream it. You weren't allowed to stream it by right for reasons. Yeah, that's right. But we weren't allowed to stream it, so um, yeah, so like players like Sneaky and Brigson, why would they play on NATR when they can just stream and make a shit ton of money and just have it be fairly similar, you know? But so recently, all a bunch of teams went to Korea. You pretty much experienced this sort of in-house situation at pretty much Aping. Excuse me. So reasoning for that is in Korea, the way that their server is that all the pros from all of Asia play in Korea. So I had games when I was in Korea at like 200, 300 LP where every single player in my game was Chinese and they would be talking in broken English or Chinese. And yeah, it's just the best Chinese players would use a VPN to play on the Korean server. The best Korean players obviously are from Korea and would play on the Korean server. The best Taiwanese players, the best whatever players, they all played on Korea. So when you got to the super high elos, they're all really, really good players. That's not really the case in NA. You have a lot of good players, but you also have a lot of players who aren't good enough. And that's another big reason why we've been complaining about Soki for so long is just because when you're in Challenger in North America, you play against Diamond 2 sometimes. You get into 20, 30-minute queues, and you play against Diamond 2s. In Korea, you never play against Diamond 2s when you're in Challenger. It doesn't make sense. You can sit in a 30-minute, actually, you wouldn't even sit in a 30-minute queue. Maybe in like the really bad times, but pretty much the way that it was when I was in Korea was that pretty much from um, 1 p.m. Korean time to like 3, 4 a.m. Korean time, you got queues at relatively fast. They're not always, uh, a few minutes. Sometimes it was actually like 10-minute queues, but you would get relatively good games. You would get players who are particularly masters, and above. And it's not the same in NA. It doesn't matter what time you play, you're gonna get shitty games. And it's because there aren't enough players that are at the high elo, which is not the fault of Riot at all. It's just the fact that NA just has less players in all other regions, um, and that makes it harder. So back to the reasons why. Um, People complain about matchmaking, complain about autofill, all that jazz, but honestly, that has very little to do with why we don't want to play solo queue. Like autofill, we had autofill for 4 seasons. We didn't really complain about it because if you're Bjergsen, if you're double, if you're gonna get your rolls 99% of the time. Even if like you get maybe like you have sneaky and double if, then you probably wouldn't both get AD carry, obviously. But in other situations, the more profile players, the better players are generally going to get the role. And so we didn't have really that much issue because when I get into a game, everyone's just gonna give me support most of the time. And then the whole dynamic queue thing with the updated champion select didn't really affect that. And autofill, I mean, you can tweak that to make us not complain about it, but I mean that's just how it was back then. That honestly isn't a big deal now. But the big reason is the matchmaking. You get shitty matchmaking, and nobody wants to play with Diamond 2. Sorry, Diamond 2 players, but like we just don't want to play with you when we're Challenger, 800 LP. It doesn't make sense. Um, and it's not your guys' fault. It's not Riot's fault. It's just the truth of things. And that's why the top 50 best players in North America, pretty much, all the NA LCS players and some of the Challenger players are just like, we're just going to play on our own server. Why the hell not? Because we can get better solo queue, we get better practice, we get lower ping, and no, we cannot stream it, which is the biggest downside ever for a lot of these players. But hey, if you want to be the best, you gotta give something up. And honestly, we shouldn't have to because that's not how it is in other regions, but that's how it is for NA, and we're pretty much pushed to the limit in terms of we don't want to play, and we want to do this, and we're willing to give up streaming for a lot of these players to do so. Maybe some players will continue to play solo queue a lot, but I know for myself, I'll play solo queue much less just because of this. And there's gonna be plenty of times where I'm still gonna play solo queue because I mean, if it's 1 a.m., like who's gonna be up in LCS that's still playing? You're not gonna get 10 players. It's just a lot harder. It's just the pool of players is smaller, but pretty much it's gonna be right after scrims. Everyone's just gonna be there, and we're gonna get our Soki matches done. So that's pretty much it regarding that. I Yeah, so it really isn't just autofill or like matchmaking. It's a combination of things that's making it a lot less incentivizing for us pros to want to play on NA solo queue. And we NA actually has the worst solo queue conditions out of every region, every major region in League of Legends. We have the highest ping, we have the smallest player base, and I mean, our Soak is known for trolling. I mean, it's not. I'm pretty sure that's because we have less players, and that makes it so that people who aren't as good are in our games, and we think they're trolling, and when they're not. So, all right, that's it. Thanks guys for watching. Hopefully this clears some things up, and hopefully to those who have influence with Riot to change something, these are the reasons why. And even if you guys do change back the matchmaking, that one small thing isn't enough to change this domino effect. It was pretty much once dominoes falls, you're not gonna have us come back to solo queue unless you ban us from playing on NATR for solo queue or something like that. So, all right, that's it, guys. Or we get too lazy. See you guys.